Recently, China and Solomon Island signed the Security Framework Agreement, which would increase China's role in the region and Solomon Island military and commercial ports. Its airbase, the deal is just short of having a permanent Chinese base on the island. This said the emergence of a new great game and a big power rivalry between the USA and China. There is a need India weigh all the options and keep the best foot forward in this multipolar world. So, why are South Pacific Islands important? Why are the South Pacific Islands important? It's a strategic location as they sit between the Pacific Ocean and Australia and New Zealand, and also a part of the Indo-Pacific region. A sizable amount of shipping lanes pass through these islands. So Pacific Island countries have substantial natural resources. So that's the main thing, and they are rich in culture diversity and are rapidly increasing their trade and digital link with global markets. So what are the issue on these islands? Because there are a lot of issues which we are grappling with actually. So what are those kind of issues on that island? Actually, they are the most vulnerable in the world to the effect of climate change and disaster. They are small in size with limited natural resources and narrow-based economies. They are physically detached from major markets. Small populations spread across many islands, and they are vulnerable to external shocks. So as of now, what is the new great game in the South Pacific? So like China expansion of power in the region. So China is worried actually about Quad. And in Quad, India, USA, Australia and Japan, all they are gaining more influence in the region. So it also started to woo these island nations. The great power competition in the Pacific has led to some Pacific island countries engaging in hedging behavior. So like China is trying not just to increase its influence in the Pacific, but also to undermine the US and Australian influence. And China has been engaged in a charm offensive, focusing on the Pacific Island and all such type of countries for some time through sustained political, economical and other efforts. Being sees the South Pacific as its sphere of influence and is playing the long-term game by substantial. So increasing its presence in this region, like the signing of an we can say MOU with the other 10 countries. And if I'm talking about a Solomon Islands, so the decision to cut ties with Taiwan and follow one China's policy. US apprehension and its countermeasure. And US President Joe Biden became the first ever US president to participate in the virtual gathering of the Pacific island, and they were first time he participated in these kind of gathering. and he was the leader actually, and he announced its intention to reopen its embassy in the Solomon Island after it was closed in 1993. And the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken also visited Pacific Island nations. He became the first US Secretary to visit Fiji in 36 years. White House delegation led by Indo-Pacific Coordinator Kurt Campbell also visits these islands. And viewpoints of Pacific Island nations, some countries had raised concern that it could become the epicenter of a future great power confrontation, while others have argued that it's their sovereign right to diversify security partners, which are being guided by their national interest by reducing dependence on Australia. So, what are the implications for India in this regard? So, it can be correlated with the Maldives, where earlier also China has invested in its debt trap policy. India need to provide these small and vulnerable countries with sustainable economic help, coupled with providing innovative solution to climate change as well. And India needs to set up its game. Like for example, we can say that setting up the Forum for India-Pacific Island Cooperation and further enhancing cooperation between these islands. So these island economies to unlock the unrealized potential. And India's focus has largely been on the Indian Ocean, where it has sought to play a major role and protect its strategic and commercial interest. The FIPIC initiative, so it marks a serious effort to expand India's engagement in the Pacific region. So these countries are relatively small in land area and distinct from India. Many have large exclusive economic zones and offer a promising possibility for fruitful cooperation. And it's a way forward with the rising belligerence of China and counterbalancing by the USA. There is the emergence of new competition among superpowers. It's manifestation of challenges times ahead in the South Pacific. India needs to navigate carefully in these troubled water and churn out its best possible nation interest without indulging in great power rivalry. Thanks for watching.